Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Stephanie.
And I'm Tom.
Hey, it's day 2 of our TOEIC unit. Day 1, we spent talking about a conversation between a visitor who had been at the building, attending a meeting in a conference room who had lost her laptop bag. Tom and I are both assuming perhaps the laptop was inside because they talk about it being something that's urgent, that she needs to get back as soon as possible. And if you've ever lost a laptop, you know how urgent it feels. Usually you have lots of work on there that you need to turn into the boss or get done as quickly as possible. Today is a little different. We've got somewhat of like a memo or a letter that is coming from a lost and found system, introducing it to people who are either members of a particular group. Here we're talking about a sports center. So these are members of the sports center that are receiving this memo or letter, or guests that are going, and they're kind of going over the details of their new system.
Right, and I kind of suspect that no one will actually read this notification unless they actually lose something.
Yeah.
Most of us aren't too concerned about the procedures of a place for lost and found items. But if you are on staff there, if you're a receptionist or something, you might need to know this information. You need to know what to do if somebody loses something. And yes, indeed, it's a sports center, so people are probably losing things there all the time. They forget their keys, they forget their phone, they forget their laptop.
Totally.
They left some dirty exercise clothing in the locker room or something like that, or they lost their swimming goggles or whatever. There are probably hundreds of different kinds of items that people can lose at a sports center. So let's find out about their new system. Let's listen, and we'll come back to talk about it. Dear valued members and guests, to enhance our services and improve the process of recovering lost items, Riverside Sports Center has implemented a new lost and found procedure. If you've misplaced an item within our facility, promptly notify our reception desk or any staff member. Provide a detailed description of the item, including distinctive features. Specify the approximate time and location when and where you last had the item. Complete our standardized lost item report form available at the reception. Our staff will thoroughly search the designated areas. Log the item in our digital database if found. Securely store valuable items in our safe. Notify you via your preferred contact method if we locate your belongings. Please note, we retain found items for up to 30 days. Unclaimed items will be donated to local charities after this period. We cannot assume liability for lost or stolen items. We encourage members to utilize our secure lockers to protect valuables. To claim a found item, visit our reception desk during operating hours. Provide a valid ID and accurately describe the item. Sign our release form upon retrieval. We're committed to efficiently reuniting you with your lost possessions. If you have any queries about this procedure, please don't hesitate to approach our staff for clarification. Thank you for your cooperation in maintaining a secure and organized environment at Riverside Sports Center. Okay, let's talk about the contents of today's lesson. Remember, if you lose something, maybe on the MRT, in a bus, or in this case, in a sports center, you go to Lost and Found. Sometimes, of course, the Lost and Found counter is part of the reception area, so you'll just go there and talk to somebody, and you'll say, yes, I need to find a lost item. Is this lost and found? Yes, we'll handle that here for you. What did you lose? When did you lose it? Etc.
Yeah, it depends on the place, doesn't it? I know I once lost something at a hospital and I went to the reception area and they kind of guided me to where I needed to go. But it's the first place I think that people go to also when they find lost items to turn them in. They might not have time to go to a specific lost and found department and maybe they just go to reception to turn it in. You can do that. So here's the memo. It says to enhance our services, to improve our services, make them even better. They want to improve the process of recovering lost items. I was saying to Tom during the break that I'm sure sports centers have a lot of lost items Because people are usually with their kids or they're having fun with friends. They're not always thinking about, I need to grab that item or I need to make sure I have this with me all the time. So I'm sure they have lots of lost items there. So they've got a new system that they've come up with. And as Tom was saying, most people who belong to gyms or sports centers like this don't pay attention to the lost and found memos until they need them. And then you pay attention. So here's the first thing. If you've misplaced an item within our facility, here's what you need to do. And then they've got bullet points. If you misplace something, you put it somewhere, but you aren't really paying enough attention and you forget where it is, or maybe you didn't put it in the typical spot that you usually do, and then you just can't find it. I've started making sure I put things in a place that is considered to be its home. So my keys are always in the same place. My, whatever it is, my laptop, my bags are always in the same place. That helps you, but sometimes you just are in a hurry and you misplace things.
Indeed. And yes, you'll misplace or lose an item. And here's what you do. First of all, you need to promptly notify our reception desk or any staff member. So you do it promptly. You do it as soon as possible. This would be the reception desk, also just referred to as reception, or the people who are there are called the receptionists, the clerks or whatever. Yes, go there and tell them that you lost the item. Notify them, let them know. Or you could talk to any other staff member. This kind of reminds me one time I was riding my bicycle next to Taipei 101, and I saw a wallet lying on the ground, I thought, how did that get there? I guess somebody took a taxi there, and they were getting out of the car, and they forgot their wallet. It fell on the ground. And this is on the street, so I didn't really know where to go, so I took it to the first security guard that I could see, some guy directing traffic for the parking lot. I just gave it to him, and hopefully the wallet was reunited with its owner. But in this particular case, you're trying to find something that you lost, so yes, you'll notify the reception desk, and then what you do is provide a detailed description of the item, including distinctive features. So if you say, well, I lost my wallet, yeah, that's fine, but you need to give some more descriptions, like is there anything written on the wallet? What color is it? And what sort of items are inside the wallet, about how much money is in there? Do you have any ID cards in there? Do you have any credit cards or things like that? Your driver's license? Yes, provide those details so that they can reunite you with that item as soon as possible.
We also use reception to talk about a party that we have after weddings. We call it a wedding reception. That's the way we talk about them here. In America, I'm saying here, they're more of a wedding banquet because everyone always eats these really beautiful meals. A wedding reception is what we call them in America after the wedding actually is taking place, where vows are exchanged, the wedding vows. Then we have a wedding reception. But we often use it here just to talk about how people are received. Do they feel welcome when you go to a new hotel? The reception desk is where you check in, and hopefully they're really kind to you and they make you feel like they have been waiting for your arrival. Here, you're going to promptly notify the reception desk or any staff member that works at that particular sports center. You're going to provide them with a detailed description. We talked about that in day one. Then you're going to specify the approximate time and location when and where you last had the item. To specify just means you give pretty detailed description of something. You want to specify where you're going to meet up with a friend. You might say, well, on this corner between these two stores, we're going to meet. You want to specify. So specify just means to be very specific, very detailed in information that you're giving someone.
Right. You might have an old camera or something, and it's got a serial number on it, and somebody says, oh, that serial number tells us where and when the camera was manufactured. Well, can you specify? Can you tell me that information, where it was manufactured and when it was manufactured? So yes, you're specifying or giving the exact information here. It's the approximate time. You're not going to probably know the exact time, like, oh, it was 9:15 and 37.5 seconds. No, you're not going to be able to provide that kind of detailed information. So it's the approximate time. Well, it was around 10 o'clock, maybe a little bit before, maybe a little after, sometime in the morning for sure. And yes, the location. Remember the lady lost her laptop bag. She said, well, it was on the third floor conference room, somewhere there. It could be in the room itself, maybe in the bathroom, just in that general area.
Yeah, I wanted to mention also specifications, or specification is the noun. Usually when we talk about the details of a thing or maybe a location where you're having some sort of party, can you give me the specifications of that room? How big is it? How many people will it fit? Things like that. Specifications. So specify, of course, is the verb form where you're giving information. Now, what's the next one? Complete or standardized lost item report form. If something's standardized, it's not specific to a particular lost item. It's general, a generalized lost item report form. You could also use generalized here. Standardized just means they've really figured out what exactly they kind of need for most lost items, although they're not all the same. There have been some weird lost items. I used to work for a big department store, and you would switch departments. So I did work in Lost and Found for a while, and you wouldn't believe what people lose. So a standardized form is just something that's for everybody. It's generalized. So you need to fill that out, and it's available at the reception we talked about. And then what will the staff do, Tom?
Well, here's what the staff will do. Before I say what the staff will do, let me explain the word staff here. That's the people who work for a particular place or company. It does not refer to the individual person. So do not say, oh, there are 20 staffs in our company. No, you can't say that. We have a staff of 20 people. We have a group of 20 people working for a company. So our staff, or the people who work here, they will thoroughly search the designated areas. If something's designated, it is determined. It is indicated by somebody. So yes, indeed, as in the case of our conversation earlier, the laptop bag was lost on the third floor in the conference room area. So that's the designated area, the area that the woman described.
If you do, going back to staff, if you do talk about a particular person who works on a staff or, on the staff of a company, you could call them a staff member.
Right.
Right? Okay, so moving on, be careful. Don't ever put an S on staff unless you're talking about the staff across multiple big companies. You can use it then, but not typically. So you're going to log the item in our digital database if found. If you log the item or log the item in a database, it just means you go to the computer and you write down the details. You put that, you input the information into that database. That's important. And then you're going to securely store valuable items in their safe. They have a safe. Safe is a cabinet that is locked, and it could be opened with a key, or sometimes from just from movies and stuff, you can see that sometimes there is another way to open that.
Yeah, a combination lock.
A combination lock, yeah, you need to know the combination, which is a set of numbers, right? So that's important too. Some safes have a fingerprint locks, so they need your fingerprint in order to open. Those are usually safes that belong to people with a lot of money. Or some safes actually open with your iris, which is a part of the eye. The safe would scan your eye. Again, you would have to have a lot of money and valuables to have that kind of safe. Secure means when something's not in danger of floating away or being taken or lost. It's either fastened tightly to something. Maybe you need to securely close your door or windows during typhoons. You don't want them to come open. So you make sure that they can't just open automatically or come open. If you want to make sure that your items are secure, you put them in a place where they can't be lost or stolen. So securely, doing something securely is an adverb, and it means to be very careful in how you take care of things.
Exactly. Okay, so your item will be protected until you get it back. And here's what the staff will do next. They will notify you via your preferred contact method if we locate your belongings. So yes, if you want us to contact you via line or email or messenger or whatever, or simply to just give us a phone call, yes, that's your preferred contact method. And then we will notify you, we will contact you and tell you that we found what you are looking for. And please note, this is some additional information that you need to know. We retain found items for up to 30 days. So to retain something just means to keep it. They will keep the items in the lost and found office for 30 days, and then they'll do something else with the item.
Unclaimed items will be donated to local charities after this period. You got to be quick. If you lose something, they'll only hold it for 30 days. After that, they take those unclaimed items, which means no one came back to say, hey, that's mine. To claim something means you say something belongs to you. It's a possession of yours. If you don't come back within 30 days, they give those things away to charities. Maybe a charity is interested in getting maybe stuffed animals. Maybe somebody's little son or daughter left a stuffed animal behind in a store. They're going to donate those to charities for other kids to use. If you lose your laptop, maybe it's donated to a charity and they wipe the information off the computer and then they start from scratch. They can use that computer themselves. So you only have 30 days. That's a pretty important piece of information.
Right, and I'm sure there are lots of items that people just don't care about. Oh, I lost my sunglasses. Who cares? I can buy some new ones.
Umbrellas.
So, that kind of stuff too. So people just probably say, forget it. They can have it. So, of course, they'll have all these items, and then they need to donate them to local charities. Maybe they'll even give them to a thrift store or something like that so they can sell them at cheaper prices. Here's the next point. What the staff will do. We cannot assume liability for lost or stolen items. So liability just means you're responsible for them. In other words, if we have your item and we found it, you cannot say we stole it, okay? We just have it stored for you if you want it back. We're not responsible for that item. You cannot sue us for having it in our possession. We're just trying to help. You can't try to get us in trouble.
Right. We also use it to talk about someone who's kind of a distraction or a problem in a company. If somebody is a liability in a company, and you might hear that someday, it means they're causing problems, or perhaps they're an embarrassment to a particular brand or company. Maybe a company employs a famous movie star who then has a drug problem. That particular movie star would be a liability to that brand because it's making that brand or company look bad in association. So, if you don't have any liability, it means you're not responsible for that lost or stolen item. They encourage members to utilize their secure lockers. Why? Well, you want to protect your valuables. Don't leave them around. Lock them up and use, a combination lock, and they'll be fine. Now, to claim a found item, you can visit the reception desk during operating hours, but you need to bring along something that's really important. What's that?
Well, you need to provide a valid ID and accurately describe the item. So your ID, of course, would be your driver's license, your Shenfenzheng, or your national ID or whatever. It is valid, okay? It's not something that is a fake or it's unofficial. It has to be provided by the government, an official office of the government. So again, there are different forms of ID. I suppose you could even use your national health insurance card. That might be something that could be legitimate for
Student
your
ID.
Student ID or whatever. Yes, there are various forms of identification or ID. And again, you also need to describe the item accurately to provide as many details as possible. Here's what you also need to do. You need to sign our release form upon retrieval. To retrieve something means to get it back, and retrieval is the process in which you get something back. So yes, you sign the release form. Yes, I have picked up the item. I have it now, and so you no longer have it. I can't come back and ask for it again or say, you guys stole my item. No, it's all clear. You got your item back, and everybody's happy.
Yeah, that's important too. Finally, they end this by saying we're committed to efficiently reuniting you with your lost possessions. If you're committed to something, it means you're dedicated to doing something. Here, they're dedicated to really efficiently, which means the best use of time. They don't waste time. Reuniting you with whatever you've lost. So they really take this seriously. You can be committed to different causes, to different uses of your time. Maybe you're committed to helping clean up your park in your community. I often walk in my park in my neighborhood, and I like to pick up trash that I see sometimes that people leave behind. Especially late at night, I've noticed people leave their cups and early morning their coffee, coffee cups there, or water bottles. So you can be committed to doing a lot of things, just dedicated to doing something. But what's a query? They say something about if you have any queries about this procedure, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah, basically it's just questions. If you have any information that you want about this procedure, if you have any queries or a formal request for information, please don't hesitate to approach our staff for clarification. So yes, go ahead and ask us. We'll be happy to help you. And finally here it says, thank you for your cooperation in maintaining a secure and organized environment at Riverside Sports Center. Okay, so it looks like you can be rest assured. You can feel, what was the word?
Confident.
Confident.
Yeah, you can be reassured.
Reassured, that's the word. Yes, we used that in the conversation in our last program. You can feel reassured that they will find your item. But again, sometimes you might not find the item. We have this phrase in English called finders, keepers, losers, weepers. Somebody else may have found the item and thought, well, the right thing to do would be to turn this in to the lost and found office. But hey, I need to pay some bills, and there's money in this wallet. I'm just going to keep it. I hope they understand.
Oh, but we hope that people out there do the right thing. I've noticed that we have a lot of honest people here in Taiwan, which I'm really grateful for. So we hope that keeps happening. We are going to take a quick break, guys, and then we'll be back to look at these discussion questions.
听众朋友大家好，我是安娜。我们昨天开始带大家看失物招领，在对话当中可能产生哪些重要的字词甚至句子。好，我们今天要看一个比较正式的公告。这个公告的这个单位啊是 Riverside Sports Center， 也就是河滨运动中心。那因为现在实施失物招领的一种程序啊，所以它要进行一个公告。那这个公告呢，我们就可以直接来看下面的几个段落。比如说第一个段落啊，有4个点点，对不对？如果你的东西真的掉了怎么办？东西掉了，我们昨天说是 I lost something。那在正式公告当中，如果你东西掉了，就表示没有带在身边，或者是没有拿走，就是放在不该放的地方，对不对？那这个下面这个段落有一个动词就可以抓出来，叫做 misplace， M-I-S-P-L-A-C-E， 它的字面上就是错置的意思。那如果错置的话，就表示你没有办法找到，因为没有放在正确的地方嘛。所以4个点点。第一个 promptly notify 就是告知，要赶快告知，可能是柜台啊，或者是 staff member。柜台叫做 reception desk， 接待的桌就是柜台。那 staff 这个字啊，其实我们昨天没有特别说啦。staff 这个工作人员，它基本上是集合名词。如果是一个一个的工作人员的话，会借 member 这个字放在一起，所以工作人员我们会说 staff member， 这个时候才可以数 a member, two members。 好，那当然你说我什么东西掉了都要讲清楚啊，到底长什么样子嘛。所以第2个点点就说啦，要提供详细的这个描述，包括可能有什么样的特征，最后面的 features， 还有前面这个形容词Distinctive 就是很鲜明的、很明显的特征，比较独特的，什么颜色哪里有个标啦，或你有放了什么东西啦之类的。好，第3个点点，你大概告诉我们什么时间、什么位置你可能弄丢。好，所以大概那个大概我们平常会用 about， 对不对？这个字形容词我们抓出来的第3个点点 approximate 它就是差不多，但它是一个形容词哦。Approximate time and location， 差不多什么时间，差不多可能在哪个位置。那接着我们就要请你填表格咯。填这个表格就是说报遗失的表格，所以第4个点点逗点前面的 report form 可以把它抓出来，因为我们等一下如果看到你招领了之后会填另外一个表格。好，接着我们再看下面第2个段落当中4个点点。 那我们的这个工作人员会怎么做呢？当然会赶快帮你找东西呀。这个找没有错，还是会用 search for something， 但是是很彻底的，我们会仔细的找哦。我们注意这个副词，第一个点点的 thoroughly， 注意它的发音 thoroughly 指的是很仔细，到处很完整的会帮你找。找哪里呢？当然是你说哪里掉，我们再猜哪里找嘛。那这个你说的就是那个所谓被你刚刚讲指定的地方，所以第一个点点那个形容词 designated， 字面上是被指定的，也就是你自己讲的在哪里掉的 designated areas。 好，那如果说发现的话呢，我们就会把它 key 到我们的 database 里面，然后呢我们会这个呢确保啊这个东西都放在保险箱。那如果找到东西的话呢，就会联络你咯。好，但是要特别注意一下接下来的这个段落 Please note， 基本上保留东西差不多就是30天哦，不可以再久了，因为我们就会每个月清理一次。那这个保留我们平常会用 keep K-E-E-P， 对不对？在这里的 Please note 下面的点点当中，第一个我们把 retain 这个动词抓出来。这个 retain 的 keep 啊 retain 就有保留保管，它是比较正式的用语。可是其实像我们保温杯保温瓶啊都可以 retain heat， 都可以保温，对不对？这有时候生活当中还是常会用到的。那接下来第二个点点就出现很重要的字，如果你今天说好这个东西是我的，我要认领回来，你就是说你宣称这是你的东西。其实 claim C-L-A-I-M 这个字除了宣称的意思之外，也有认领的意思，因为你就去主张说这个东西是我的嘛。好，所以第二个点点的 unclaimed items 指的是没有被认领的东西，好，就会被捐走。那第三个点点很重要哦，有一个字我们特别把它抓出来，叫做 liability。 liability 指的是法律上的责任。好，我们一般讲说哦，你有责任呢 responsibility， 那是我们最常用。可是法律上的责任指的是 liability。那我们不能够 assume 哦，这里的 assume 不是推测，是 offer， 我们没有办法提供这种 liability。 什么意思？后面 for lost or stolen items， 如果帮你找到东西又被偷了或者是丢掉，这个东西我们没有办法负责。我们其实讲简单一点，第三点就是我们不负保管的责任 liability。 好，这是法律上的责任的意思。好，那当然基本上就是希望会员啊，如果在这个地方尽量用一些安全储藏柜啊，保管你重要的东西，要使用哦，用我们的柜子哦。本来我们口语会说 use U-S-E， 对不对？第四个点点 utilize 特别把它抓出来，这里也有利用的意思。好，那最后面如果你真的要去认领一个东西的时候，基本上呢一定要拿出你的 ID 出来，第二个点点，而且这 ID 要有效的，不能过期或没有照片 valid 有效的证明文件。而且你拿到的时候还要填一个认领的表格。我们刚刚不是说要去填一个这个东西掉的失物报表格吗？是 report form， 现在看到的是 release form， 因为你的东西要被释放出来还给你了 release form。 最后面的 retrieval 指的是拿回来的意思。 upon 啊这个介系词指的是一怎么的时候，你一拿回来请你就填好这个表格。所以我们今天针对失物招领啊，要多认识一些比较正式的单字片语，希望大家能够学会哦。我是安娜，我们下次见。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. We've got some discussion questions. So we will ask and answer these questions ourselves, and hopefully we will inspire you to do the same with your classmates. So here's the first question. Have you ever used a lost and found service? How was your experience?
I have several times. I'll use one experience that I had here in Taiwan. I had lost a really important book to me. Where did I lose it? I think I left it on the subway. Yes.
Oh, no.
Left it on the subway. I put the book to the side of me and then totally forgot it when I got up to exit the subway. And I found the lost and found, which is kind of hard for foreigners, let me tell you. It's probably easier now. I lost this about 15 years ago. but I went to the lost and found and had a hard time communicating with them at first. But, I went back several times. I never did find that particular item, but I thought the people at the lost and found were really good and very helpful, and they really were sincere about trying to help me find that particular book, which meant so much to me. But I never found it.
Oh, no.
But sometimes that happens, and you just have to move on. What about you, Tom?
Well, actually, I served as a lost and found service one time. I had gone to a friend's wedding, and I was in a taxi heading home, and then the driver kind of turned around and held a wallet to me, and I didn't quite understand what he was doing. Why is he holding this wallet up to me? And I understood that he had another foreigner ride in his taxi maybe a week or so before, and he saw I was a foreigner, and he thought, hey, maybe you can figure out whose wallet this is, and you can give it back to him. So I looked through the wallet, and luckily I found an email address for this guy. Yes, he was from California, and he had come to Taiwan to attend someone's wedding. Not the same wedding, but another wedding. And I managed to contact one of his friends in Taiwan, and I returned it to him.
Oh.
I think we met at a Starbucks or something like that. But yes, I did serve as a lost and found service. But I don't know if I've ever really lost anything here that I needed to find the lost and found service for.
Well, you don't carry a lot of stuff with you, which is nice.
Well, I do, but I try to keep track of everything. I have a mental list in my head of what I have. And the problem is when you get distracted, when you're in an unusual situation, and you just forget things when that happens. Here's another question. What measures can you take to avoid losing your belongings in a public place?
Well, I try to keep everything in one bag. I try not to carry several things at the same time. And I have extra spare keys in my bag. I have a spare set in one pocket, but I also have a spare set in a jacket. If I have a jacket on during the winter, I carry lots of different keys. I've been locked out of my apartment before, so I don't want to do that again. What about you, Tom?
Yeah, I try to have an inventory in my head of what I'm carrying with me. My phone, my Kindle, my notebooks, my schedule, all that sort of stuff. I have a mental inventory in my head. And then also, I always remember when I leave like a restaurant or a coffee shop, turn around and look back at the table or the chair I was sitting at and make sure I have everything. This usually works, but not always. But those are some ways that you can avoid losing belongings in a public place. That brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thank you for joining us, and hopefully all of you will not lose items in the future. And if you do, hopefully Lost and Found will find that item for you. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.